Hello. For those of you that are joining me, this is day 2 of my Arts Gallery bundle campaign. So this is the Art Gallery bundle here that I'm working with, and these are the Fine Art Floral Designer Series papers that I'm featuring in the cards that I'm showing you. If you like what you see in this video, please hit the like button below. Feel free to leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. I'd love to know what you want to see going forward because the whole video thing is fairly new to me. So any feedback is appreciated. Okay, so let's get started. This is the card that we're going to do today, card number 2. Now, as I mentioned in my previous video, some things I've gone ahead and done off camera, just in the interest of saving time. So we're going to start with our card base. This is Whisper White cardstock. And I'm folding it in half just to make a standard A2 card base. I then took a slightly smaller piece of Whisper White cardstock and I embossed it using the Painted Texture 3D embossing folder. So I've gone ahead and embossed it, and we're just going to adhere that to the front of our card. They're the right side. This is the side I want to show. We're just lining that up in the middle. I then cut out 2 pieces of the Designer Series paper. I cut one slightly larger than the other. So this is the dark blue piece. We're going to use the light background. I cannot speak tonight. I keep stumbling and like I have marbles in my mouth. So we're just going to adhere these together. Like so, and then we will add them to the front of our card as well. And there we go. Okay, so the next thing I did was I stamped out 3 of the flowers that are found in the stamp set. And with this stamp set, they have like the base layer of the stamp image, and then they have kind of the second layer, and then they have this little guide down here, which you'll see later on in one of my cards that I actually used as a 3rd layer to this flower. So what I did was I used Real Red ink and I stamped this image first. And then I stamped this image both with Real Red, but I stamped off when I stamped this image. And what I mean by stamping off, for those of you that aren't familiar, is I took my stamp and I inked it up with the Real Red ink. And then I stamped off on a piece of scrap paper. And then I stamped it onto my Whisper White cardstock. So it's not quite as dark of an image. So then when I want to stamp my next layer, I can do that quickly here to show you. So when I want to stamp my next layer, I go back to my Real Red ink and I ink it up. But this time I don't stamp off. This time I stamp directly onto my image. So even though we're using the exact same ink, it almost looks like we're using 2 different ones because we had stamped off on that first one. So that's what I had done. Set that aside for my 3 images here. And then I cut them out using the coordinating die cut that's found with the bundle. After that, I stamped, using Old Olive ink, I stamped 1 stem and I die cut it out with the coordinating die. So what we're going to do with this stem is we're actually going to cut the leaves off of the stem itself. So I don't want to use the stem, I just want to use the leaves for this card. Okay, there we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of my adhesive to the bottom of each of these. And then I'm going to add them one each to two of my flowers. Okay, so there we go. We have our 3 leaves. 2 of them have, sorry, 3 flowers, 2 of them have leaves. I told you I cannot talk tonight. Okay, so now the next step is we're going to glue these down onto our card. So I'm just using the Stampin' Seal to do this. And I really don't measure anything. I just eyeball things where I kind of think it'll look good. There. And then we'll do the other one. Here. And you could play around with these, move them around wherever you want. It's just kind of how I thought they looked good. And then for the third one, I'm going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals to glue it down. There we go. And then we'll just add him right on top of, move him over some more, right on top of another 2. There. What do you think? Pretty good? Okay. So the next thing I did was I stamped You Are Lovely using the black Memento ink onto Whisper White cardstock. And then I die cut it out with, again, one of the coordinating dies. And I'm also going to put this down on my card using dimensionals, but I'm only going to use dimensionals on half because I want it to sit partly on top of my flower, but then I wanted it a dimensional underneath here so that it sits nicely on my card. So what I did to do that was I actually used the side. I actually cut off a piece of the side of my dimensionals. I mean, you don't have to. You can use dimensionals and cut them in half or just line them up and use 2, but and then on the other half I used my snail. My Stampin' Seal. I keep calling it snail. I shouldn't call it snail. And then I put it down on my card like that. So I don't know if you can see that very well or not, but so it lays nice and flat on my card. Now the last thing I did for this card was I added some basic pearl basic jewels. And again, there's no real rhyme or reason. I just kind of added them on where I thought they looked good. One there, one there. Oops. Here. I'll add one here. And I'll do one here. And there we go. There's our second card. So remember, there's an ordering special happening this week until Friday. If you spend $60 or more before tax and shipping using the host code provided, there's a link in my Facebook page. I'll also add a link at in the description of this video, along with links to the products that were used. If you spend $60 more before tax and shipping, you get a free PDF on how to make all of the cards that I've shown in the campaign. As well, you'll receive a free pack of the Pearl Basic Jewels. And don't forget, it's still Celebration. So with that $60 order, you're also getting to choose a free stamp set at a Celebration. It's a great time right now. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye.